Before he even stepped out of the airport, Daniel already felt something strange. Not the heat, not the noise, but a smile. A security guard nodded at him like they were old friends. A woman offered directions without being asked. This wasn't in the guidebooks. Daniel had traveled across Europe and Asia, but this felt different. This video is about that feeling foreigners struggle to explain after visiting the Philippines. The kind that makes them say, "I don't know why, but I feel at home." This is a story of why Filipino hospitality doesn't just impress foreigners. It changes them. Daniel was an accountant from Canada, practical, skeptical, and not easily impressed. He booked the Philippines for beaches, cheap flights, and curiosity. Hospitality wasn't on his checklist. His first night, his taxi driver refused a tip and instead gave restaurant recommendations. "You're our guest," the driver said casually. Daniel laughed it off, but that was the first crack in his assumptions. In many countries, kindness feels transactional. Here, it felt natural, as if generosity wasn't something Filipinos turn on for tourists, but something always running in the background. The next morning, Daniel checked into a small guest house in Cebu. The owner insisted he eat breakfast first before paying. Plates appeared, rice, eggs, fruit, more than he could finish. When he apologized, she smiled and said, "It's okay. Tomorrow again." That sentence stuck with him. There was no rush, no pressure. Time moved differently here. Hospitality wasn't about efficiency. It was about care. Daniel realized this wasn't customer service. This was something older, deeper, passed down quietly through families, not taught in hotels. Days later, Daniel got lost in a neighborhood far from tourist spots. Before panic set in, a group of kids ran up, curious but polite. One ran to get his father. The man walked Daniel home, 20 minutes out of his way, talking about life, work, and weather. No phone, no expectations, just company. When Daniel offered money, the man looked genuinely offended. "No," he said softly. "You are here. That's enough." Daniel would later tell friends this moment changed how he saw the world. Filipino hospitality isn't loud. It's not dramatic. It's subtle, constant, and deeply human. It comes from a culture where community matters more than convenience, where sharing food is instinct, not generosity, where neighbors raise each other's children. Daniel began noticing patterns. Every jeepney ride came with jokes. Every store visit included conversation. Even strangers treated him like extended family. This wasn't tourism branding. It was daily life. And foreigners, used to emotional distance, weren't prepared for that closeness. One evening, rain flooded the streets. Daniel slipped, scraping his knee. Within seconds, 3 people appeared with tissues, water, and concern. Someone fetched alcohol. Someone else cracked a joke to distract him. No one filmed. No one asked his name. They simply helped. Later that night, Daniel realized something unsettling. He trusted these strangers more than people back home. Filipino hospitality wasn't about grand gestures. It was about showing up immediately, sincerely, without calculation. Daniel started asking locals why they were like this. Most shrugged. "That's just us," they said. Some mentioned family. Others faith. Many mentioned nothing at all. Hospitality wasn't something to explain. It was something you did. Anthropologists might trace it to Bayanihan, the tradition of communal unity. But Daniel felt it was simpler. Filipinos understood struggle. They knew scarcity. And instead of hoarding kindness, they multiplied it. That understanding made hospitality not optional, but essential. At a small fiesta, Daniel was invited by a family he'd met only hours earlier. He ate, laughed, and danced like he belonged. When he thanked them, the grandmother replied, "If you are happy, we are happy." That sentence broke him. Back home, happiness was personal. Here it was shared. Foreigners often mistake Filipino hospitality for friendliness, but it's more than that. It's emotional generosity, the willingness to include others in joy, not just space. Daniel extended his trip. Weeks turned into months. He began volunteering, learning the language, adapting to the rhythm. He noticed how Filipinos treated each other the same way they treated him. This wasn't a formative kindness for foreigners. This was internal culture. Even during arguments, respect remained. Humor softened tension. Hospitality wasn't weakness. It was strength, a survival skill refined through history, colonization, hardship, and resilience. Foreigners often say Filipino hospitality feels real. That's because it is. It doesn't come from abundance. It comes from empathy. Daniel learned that Filipinos don't wait until they have more to give. They give first. Food is shared even when limited. Time is offered even when scarce. This generosity confuses visitors from wealthier nations. It challenges the idea that kindness must be earned. In the Philippines, kindness is default. Daniel met other foreigners with similar stories. An Australian who stayed 10 years. A German who married into a local family. A Japanese teacher who refused to leave. All said the same thing. They came for a reason, but they stayed for the people. Hospitality wasn't a moment. It was an environment, a constant warmth that slowly rewired expectations of how humans could treat one another. One foreigner said something that stayed with Daniel. In my country, we respect privacy. Here, they respect presence. That difference mattered. Filipinos noticed when you were quiet. They asked if you ate. They remembered your name. They followed up. For many foreigners, this level of attention felt overwhelming at first, then comforting, then necessary. Daniel realized Filipino hospitality wasn't perfect. Boundaries existed. Problems existed. But kindness wasn't conditional. Even in frustration, respect remained. Even in poverty, generosity thrived. This wasn't naivete. It was choice. A cultural decision repeated daily, quietly without applause. When Daniel finally returned home, reverse culture shock hit hard. Silence felt colder. Smiles felt distant. He missed conversations with strangers. He missed being asked if he'd eaten. Filipino hospitality had reset his emotional baseline. The world felt less human without it. Back in Canada, Daniel hosted dinners differently. He listened more. He shared more. Friends noticed a change. "You're different," they said. He smiled. "The Philippines taught me," he replied. Hospitality, he learned, was contagious. Foreigners don't love Filipino hospitality because it's exotic. They love it because it reminds them of something they lost. A time when community mattered more than convenience. When people mattered more than schedules. Every year, millions visit the Philippines. Many leave with photos. Some leave with tans. But a few leave changed. They carry Filipino hospitality home, like a quiet responsibility. Daniel now tells people, go for the beaches, stay for the people. It's not a slogan. It's a warning. Because once you experience Filipino hospitality, ordinary kindness feels insufficient. You start expecting more from the world. And from yourself. That's why foreigners can't stop talking about it. That's why they return. That's why some never leave. Filipino hospitality isn't something you observe. It's something you feel. Something that stays long after the trip ends. Something that quietly reshapes how you treat others. The Philippines doesn't just welcome visitors. It reminds them how to be human. And that's why, no matter where they go next, foreigners carry a piece of Filipino hospitality with them. Forever.